All right, and welcome back to Golden Lap. If apologies for the sound issues with the last episode. If you skipped that episode, welcome to season 2. We are second to Mercedes. That is our status right now. We're second, and we're second to Mercedes, and we're above Red Bull. And Red Bull are above McLaren, and McLaren are above Williams, except for Pierre Gasly, who's in the Ferrari, who's in ninth, 58 spots above his teammate Mark Verstappen. But this is a very there's big differentials between each team so far this season in terms of performance. The differentials weren't quite so bad last race, and the differentials weren't quite so bad last race. And hopefully that's a sign of improvement and a sign of a better racing to come, because the first race was particularly brutal, where the order of the grid looked pretty much exactly like this. Uh, which each with the teammates just stacked up next to each other in their own block. It seemed like each of the teams even sort of had their own lap to themselves. Like Mercedes were in first, we were a lap behind. Red Bull were 2 laps behind. McLaren were 3. It wasn't quite that bad, but it was pretty bad. It was pretty rough. So hopefully we get some better competition here in these races, as we are going to pour money into upgrading our 2 cars as we head to South Africa, which is a dangerous race. I believe there was a fatality here last season. Whoops, wasn't recording the start of that qualifying session. We're in 5th and 8th currently. We've done a couple of tune-ups. Alonso is stuck right now and is probably going to have trouble setting a faster time, and he is. So we're just going to fast forward. Science will send out. Alonso is pitting. Leclerc on pole. Look at the Red Bulls. You were saying how big the differentials were between the Red Bulls and the Mercedes, but we've got a Williams in the top 5 as well. A pretty colorful grid here. Interesting stuff. As Sainz with the green sector, hopefully he can improve up above 6th. A bit disappointed in where we are in the grid right now. And there's 3rd. Nice. Keeping up with the Joneses a little bit. Piastri obviously still right on pole, the only guy under 116. Alonso on his flying lap. The green sector will tune Sainz. Hopefully we get the golden tune on the engine here. We don't. Alonso, purple middle sector. What can he do in the 3rd? 0.04 behind Piastri. That is about as good as we could ever have hoped for in terms of a lap from Fernando Alonso. As we are now in 2nd and 4th, and I said I was unhappy with the session so far. No longer, as we have turned this into a very productive qualifying session. 4 to 18 is a risk. Yeah, we messed up. As we're having trouble tuning the cars, though. No golden tunes. Nothing even close. Piastri with another purple sector. Big shock. What can we do? And we improve to 3rd. We pip Charles Leclerc to 3rd place by 16/100ths of a second. And we are now in 2nd and 3rd. Verstappen way down in 7th. Don't know what he's doing. But I'm sure he'll pop up with a lap and put himself into 2nd in absolutely no time. As Alonso comes into the pit. Verstappen just set a purple sector. So we will watch our 2nd and 3rd place fly away. Yep, we're now in 4th and 5th as Leclerc and Verstappen go faster. Big shock. And we just cannot find this golden tune. I am frustrated as all get out. I am frankly frustrated. And Verstappen crashes from 15th, wrecks his Ferrari. As Ferrari continue to be an absolute shambles, we're going to set a lap time. Of course, I know we come back into pit. Will it let us tune again? No, it won't. This is just going to steal productive track time from us and stop us from getting more tune-ups in. And we may have to face this race not only in 4th and 5th, but without a single golden tune. Actually, never mind. Signs is going to get a tune, and we get the golden tune on the engine. Right, as I say, we're not going to get one. We get one. Ask and you shall receive, I guess. As that probably is going to do it for Signs in terms of actual opportunities to tune the car. As Alonso is going to get another pit, however. Be interesting to see if we have the ability to set any times. It's really been a disastrous season so far for Ferrari. Pierre Gasly really having to do not just the heavy lifting, but pretty much all the lifting. Sainz is on his outlap, but he's not going to be able to set a real time, unfortunately. And we only have 3 minutes left. We're going to have to pit Alonso as quick as we possibly can to try to get anything done. And that's not going to do it. There's no golden tune for Fernando Alonso. So a frustrating qualifying session for Fernando Alonso, most certainly. Sainz is still managing to be in third, but he's not going to get to set another time. And we may lose our third place position here in these last 2 minutes of qualifying. As in comes Sainz. And we may actually be able to get it back out for another lap here. Can we launch it? Doubt we're going to get it. No, it doesn't seem like it. 124 seems much too slow to be leaving the pit lane. And Alonso setting a lap right now out in front of Sainz. A purple first sector. It's encouraging stuff from Fernando. And will Sainz make it to the line to start his lap? It looks like he... Will he? No. Alonso puts it on second. We're second and fourth. I can't be too mad with that. It's an incredible lap by Fernando Alonso there right at the end of qualifying to put us in second and fourth. And I said it wasn't a good qualifying session for Fernando Alonso. I was dead wrong. He comes out with absolutely no golden tunes and puts us into second place. Fantastic stuff from the veteran driver. As we see a very similar grid. We've got a little bit of switch ups though. The Williams further down the grid. So heartbreak there for Williams. The Sauber's still struggling. Verstappen in dead last in the Ferrari. Gasly in 10th of the Ferrari, still pretty separated. The Haas's also notably have been separated from each other pretty regularly. It's Leclerc in 5th. The McLaren's together in 6th and 7th. So it's Piastri, Alonso, Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, Paolo, Vettel, Tsunoda, Latifi, and Gasly. That is the top 10. And we will read the full grid here in just a second. And here's the grid for the South African Grand Prix. Verstappen and Trenton on the back row, Heidberg and Hamilton, Norrick and Nassani, Chevelle and Magnussen, Kubica and Enering. The top 10, as we said, Gasly, Latifi, Tsunoda, Vettel, Paolo, Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, Alonso, and Piastri, and it is more of that battle between Mercedes and Aston Martin up at the top of the field, and it is going to rain. It is going to rain, and it's going to rain hard. The track should get pretty wet here about 30 laps into the race, and I think that calls for hards. Does it not? I think this just calls for double hards and screw track position. If Red Bull and Mercedes want to pull up in the softs and blow us away to start the race, they can do that. We're going to keep our track position and get on the intermediates and on the wets at the right time and try to do a one-stop. That is my priority. And we are going to really honestly not prioritize too much track position or tire wear here at the start of the race. You can be mad as you want to at me for not being more entertaining and not having a bigger set of cojones, but we are immediately losing all sorts of track position down into 6th and 9th as they like it on the softs. And we are just going to fast forward as it's a brutal start to the race here on these hards. These hards clearly do not have the performance of the mediums or the softs. But there's no point in trying to test them, as unfortunately we pretty much blow our entire... Made you guys watch that whole quali session for absolutely nothing. But hey, I'm not the one who made it rain. I'm not the one who made it rain. And we're just going to have them race each other. at this point. They're both in the hards. It's a good overtake there by Alonso on Magnussen. Magnussen falls behind us on the soft, so we obviously have a significant pace advantage on the Williams as we're chasing down the Haas and Norick in the RB. And this should be pretty easy work for Fernando Alonso. So I'm gonna tell him to chase here and try to get as much pace as he can out of these hards. And there we go. Alonso making up some of those positions we lost. I think that my ambition for right now is to find our way behind these McLarens. And so the next guy to push would in fact be Carlos Sainz, who needs to find his way here through this midfield and through Pierre Gasly first off. And now he's coming up on those mid-pack runners that Alonso just flew by. And he gets into 10th into the points and past Magnussen as well into 9th and past Norick as well. So our true pace showing here as we are in to 7th and 8th, and we can't be too mad about that. We did start from 2nd and 4th, but look at these guys on the mediums and on the softs already pitting, and Alonso out ahead of Max Verstappen. And I think we're just going to have a little fun here and race Max Verstappen a little bit. Try to keep him behind for a little bit. And maybe apply some pressure on him too with Sainz. Why not? As, hey, we're pushing up the back of Palau, and it's starting to rain a little bit, as we said, but we're out here on these hards with plenty of tire wear left, and people are pitting when they're going to have to pit again pretty soon when the rain comes. So we clearly are on the better strategy. As Verstappen finally gets that overtake on Alonso. It took him a while, though. We certainly made him work for it. And we are going to go on to a conserve tire strategy, to be honest with you, with both of our drivers. And I'm not going to chase these Red Bulls. I don't really think there's a point. We can go toe for toe on pace with the Red Bulls when it starts to rain and we get on the inters. As we are just waiting for this track to get wet, and it looks like it's going to get very wet. Verstappen and Hamilton onto inters. I don't know that that's the smartest thing in the world. I think we just stay on hards. A lot of people going on inters, and they're going to have better pace than we do, for certain, as Palau gets past us. And so we're just going to engage in a little old-fashioned auto racing as Sainz overtakes Alonso and begins to break away, so maybe he had the better pace the entire time. But anyway, what I wanted to say was I want to go straight onto the wets here. I don't want to go on no intermediates because it's going to be wets. Going on to the wets finally, and it looks like it's about time. We're going to put Sainz in first. I don't want to double stack. And we'll get Alonso just one more lap to burn the hards off of the car. Sainz gets the wets on in under 7 seconds and is back out onto the track on his wet tires in 7th place. And Alonso is going to come into pit for wets as well. And they are right next to each other, still racing. Still racing one another. As we are going to throw that thing on conserve for a little while, and it's going to be wets the rest of the race as Alonso is racing Palau right now, and we're going to try to get past him and make sure he doesn't put too much pressure on our teammate, and we do a good job of doing just that. And as long as we're racing and we don't have good margins to Palau, it's going to be a little harder, and the McLarens, it's going to be a little harder to try to stick on tire conserve, but we need to stay on this one-stop strategy, unfortunately. We're literally lapped by the Mercedes, though, so it's just like usual. There's not really going to be much racing here at the top of the pack. It's just us trying to keep hold of these 5th and 6th positions and hope somebody messes up their tire strategy. As Alonso has Vettel right behind him, it's really one of the only interesting pieces of racing on the track right now is here we go, the Red Bulls, for a pit stop that we're desperately trying to avoid making. But our wets aren't exactly fresh, and everybody else is going on to fresh wets. As will, you have to imagine, the McLarens. So I just feel like it would be kind of ignorant for us to try to stay on some old wet tires for 16 laps, to be honest with you. So we're just going to pit onto another pair of wets and give up the fight and drive the crap out of the car and try to extract as much pace as we possibly can. And now Alonso, way up in 5th, is finally going to have a pit stop. And Fernando Alonso crashes. In a season like this, that is brutal for point scoring, where teams are so consistent. Losing a car like Alonso, he had high crash risk when he crashed, and he was about to come into the pit lane. That's just heartbreaking. And Sainz needs to hold on and secure all of the points that he can get now. That's a heartbreaking result here for Aston Martin, as we are going to need Sainz to do everything he can to pull out 5th place here and not crash the car as well. Just keep the thing on the track and get us out of here with some points, Carlos. And that crash, a devastating moment, tough to take, but we're going to bring it home here in 5th place and secure some points in the Drivers' Championship. But ultimately, it's a race that's going to be remembered for that Fernando Alonso crash. And us starting on the hards and losing a lot of track position from starting in 2nd and 4th. So for a while, I thought I was on the right tire strategy. And you know what? Maybe if we would have come in 4th and 5th like we almost did, I'd be sitting here talking about how we did finish on the right tire strategy. But Fernando Alonso loses us 12 points, a very crucial 12 points, especially when you're fighting against the team that's coming in 1st and 2nd in every single race. So it's Piastri, Verstappen, and Leclerc on the podium. And it's a tough race weekend for Aston Martin. And the conglomeration of talent at the top of the standings has created a much harder second season here at Aston Martin than we had in the first one, where we were very clearly in title contention. Now we are kind of best of the rest, best of the midfield. But it's really a one-team race. It's Mercedes versus Mercedes this season. As we head to the Autodromo Gran Lago, as Mercedes attempts to sabotage Red Bull's steering and get caught. And Red Bull reports a stolen chassis design, and we lose $15 and 10 points. Great. So we don't have any money. I mean, we went to the race, but we should have negative $15. And we lost 10 points in the standings as well. So we do get caught that time for stealing a part. We didn't get caught last season, but we get caught this time. So some tough breaks so far in this episode. Hopefully it's a more successful race out here in Argentina. 2 green sectors for Alonso. Bringing it around and into 4th place. We just got to try to beat... honestly, our priority now has to be to try to beat the Red Bulls. We have to try to see Red Bull as our competition at this point instead of Mercedes, unfortunately. 3rd and 5th for Sainz and Alonso. Sainz with a slightly better lap than Alonso. Bring it home in 3rd. And Sainz, it's still 3rd and 5th. No improvement, at least in terms of our grid position there in our 2nd lap out. And Alonso improves into 4th. Sainz with no improvement at all. But we have taken up our position in 3rd and 4th. Magnussen currently the only one breaking the pecking order, as Tsunoda manages to put it above us in 3rd. As I said, we are battling the Red Bulls, not the Mercedes at this point. And it is a golden tune on the engine for Fernando Alonso. Sainz setting green sectors once again. Alonso no improvement. Sainz doesn't improve on his track position either. And once again, no improvement. 5th and 6th, and even more disappointingly, the Red Bulls are both out ahead of us, with Leclerc setting more purple sectors up into pole. As now the Red Bulls are fighting the Mercedes. And I wish we could be fighting the Mercedes. We need to start tuning this dang car. As we're about to have, it looks like 2, hopefully 2, golden tunes. Yes, sir. On, I believe this is Fernando Alonso. So let's see if Fernando Alonso can set some crazy lap time. Golden tune on the chassis of Carlos Sainz. And let's chase 1 on the engine. We don't have much time. And Vettel puts it in 4th. And now we're down in 6th and 7th. As these are big, big laps here from both Sainz and Alonso. We need some purple sectors. We need to really start showing off and impressing people. Sainz says he can't focus. It's going to be a bad lap. Alonso is setting green sectors. It's a green sector 2 for Sainz. How much improvement is there? I see no purple. Alonso jumps Tsunoda. Sainz jumps Tsunoda as well. Neither of us can jump Vettel. Alonso 5/100ths behind Sebastian Vettel. in 5th place. 5th and 6th isn't too bad if we can get off to a good start in the Grand Prix. We didn't last time. It's just going to be a matter of going on softs instead. In comes Signs. Here goes Fernando Alonso. Around the first turn. Can he get us on the podium? It's more massive improvement from the McLarens. From the Mercedes. Around the final turn. And we're faster than Sebastian Vettel, up to plus 3.45 behind Verstappen. Not mad about that at all. Only 2/10 of a second behind the Mercedes. As Sainz also jumps Vettel up into 4th and 5th for Aston Martin, and that is much better. And can we luck our way into a triple golden tune here? No. But it's a very impressive tune-up. This is probably the best tune-up we've had so far here on Fernando Alonso's car. Here at this Argentinian Grand Prix in Season 2. As we're going to send out Alonso and see if he can manage to get more lap times in. We'll manage to get one last tune on Carlos Sainz and hopefully get a tune on that engine. And we do. And it's double golden tunes for both of our drivers, so our tuning skill is getting a little better here. And hopefully Sainz can set a lap time as well. As we watch Alonso on his outlap. Sainz says he's stuck behind Magnussen. Alonso setting just a white sector. Doesn't like being stuck behind Magnussen. Doesn't look like there's going to be any improvement, and it's 4th and 6th. Here in Argentina, not quite as good of a qualifying as last week, but not bad either. Excellent tune-ups, and hopefully we have good race performance, and hopefully we get off to a good start in the race. As we see, there's not even a Ferrari in the top 10 this week. Ferrari continuing to struggle, and Haas continuing to struggle as well, down in 12th and 15th. And here we go. There's going to be rain later in the race. Only 35 laps, and it is hilly. The grid is as follows. Hamilton in last, Trenton in 19th, Verstappen in the Ferrari in 18th, Chevelle and Rang in 16th, next to Heidberg in 15th in the Haas, Norick and Nissany on the next row, Latifi and Gasly outside of the points in 12th and 10th, Kubica in 10th and Magnussen, both Williams in 10th and 9th, Palau in 8th and 7th in the McLaren with Vettel, Sainz in 6th, Tsunoda in 5th, Alonso in 4th, Leclerc in 3rd, Piastri in 2nd, and Verstappen on pole position to start the Argentine Grand Prix. The rain is going to come a little later in this race, so I would not at all mind stopping even before the rain comes, possibly. I don't really care. We will play it by ear. I was just sickened by how we started the race yesterday, and most people are on hards this time. They're going for the strategy we went for last race. Hopefully we're right this time. And let's see how they do on the softs here to start. And it's a shot up into 2nd for Sainz. Alonso still in 6th, now down into 8th, now up into 7th. Chasing Kevin Magnussen. Sainz now down into 3rd behind Piastri. That is not terribly surprising. Golden lap for Sainz to start the race. He's in 3rd. It's a switch up. Piastri overtakes Verstappen, and now it's Sainz racing with Verstappen. Says he's going to have, Alonso says he's going to have a good lap down in 5th. We will tell him to drive more aggressive. Says he's going to have another good lap chasing down Charles Leclerc on the hards, and we are really wearing out these soft tires. Not that I care. I don't mind one bit. I think I'm a big fan of driving pretty aggressive in this race, to be honest with you. Maybe go on some mediums and ride those out with a pretty high tire degradation rate until the rain comes, would honestly be my thought. I'm all about keeping my track position here in front of the Red Bulls and in front of the Williams and in front of the McLarens. I want to be the 2nd fastest team on the grid. That is the priority. As Kubica chassis failed, and that's going to take a possible top 10 guy out of the race. As there goes Tsunoda with the unfortunate overtake on us in the hards somehow. That pisses me off a little bit. Alonso, we're going to try to get back at him for that. As Sainz already seems about done on his tires up in third. And we're going to pit him after 2 more laps. Sainz into the pit onto his mediums. Alonso still struggling to get past Tsunoda. It's a bad pit stop for Sainz, 13 seconds, as he's finally out, having lost a little track position, unfortunately. Is onto the mediums as well for Fernando Alonso when he comes into pit. Magnussen into the pits for Inters. Once again, I think the Williams did that in the last race. The Williams and the Alpines went in weirdly early for wet weather tires. As Sainz says he's going to have a good lap out in front of his teammate Alonso, we are the only... Now there's a couple guys on mediums. They're pitting on Inters now. And Heidberg crashes, and this is a good time. I think pitting on Inters now, that decision pretty much makes itself, no? We'll just pull off Sainz right into the pit lane right now and get him on some Inters. And Alonso will go on to Inters the next lap. Alonso says he's got a puncture. So he was already on the way to the pit lane, but he's going to stay there now. Well, he's not going to stay there. His race isn't over. But yeah, he's going to get a new pair of tires. So it doesn't really change much. Maybe that in lap will just be a little slower. No. Here comes Alonso now with a puncture for some reason. Puncture's now gone. We got Inters on the car, and we are in 5th and 6th, and we can focus on hunting some Red Bulls. And Sainz hunting down Leclerc in that Red Bull. He's just struggling to get the overtake, now on high crash chance. And we've used way too much fuel burn as well, so we're going to have to give up on this, unfortunately. Gasly gets a puncture and has to pit. Verstappen sets the golden lap. We're still admirably close to these Red Bulls, making it something of a race, despite having to run through back markers. And Nasani crashes in the Sauber. That's going to have no effect on our race plans. Just means we get a couple laps on conserve. So hopefully we can get a little closer to keeping these tires. We're not going to be able to keep these tires to the end. There's really no point. As Sainz has leapfrogged, I guess Leclerc must have pitted onto new Inters onto the safety car, because we're now in 3rd. And to me, that just screams conserve for a little while. And Alonso will try to make up track position on Tsunoda now. He's chasing Tsunoda a little bit. We don't want him to crash, however, though. Kind of happy in 3rd and 5th. Happy in 3rd and 5th and not crashing the car. And Verstappen crashes. And, yeah, there's a lot of people pitting. I'd say we do one more lap under the safety car. And then pit at least Sainz. Sainz needs to pit right now. Onto another pair of Inters to end the race. And we are going to be racing Tsunoda here probably when we come out of the pit lane on fresher Inters than his, however, as here he comes down the straight, and we do come out ahead of him. Right back into faster motion. Wait. As it's racing conditions here, and we are sandwiching Yuki Tsunoda. And I think I'm going to keep Alonso out here for another lap and let him pressure Tsunoda from behind if he can get up here. And we're going to try to create a little Yuki Tsunoda sandwich here. And instead, I think Sainz is going to overtake him. He might even. He's got some hellacious speed right now. I meant Alonso. Alonso is now going to go into the pit for this last set of intermediates. He's going to drive as hard as he can after Yuki Tsunoda here on his final lap and hope that he doesn't crash. And Anurag crashes. It's so many wrecks. Alonso already coming into the pit. No reason for Sainz to. He's a whole minute behind the Mercedes. There's really no racing. He's only racing Tsunoda. Now, Tsunoda's 13 seconds behind, so big margins here for Carlos Sainz in 3rd place. Hopefully looking to bring home a podium here. As Alonso, now on fresh tires, is going to have to chase down Charles Leclerc, and that's where a lot more of our entertainment here in the last 6 laps of this race. 6 rather long laps of this safety car-filled race is going to come from. 5 DNFs. How you like that? 5. That's a lot. That's a lot of DNFs. As Alonso is going to be our main character here, trying to chase down Charles Leclerc. and add some points. And there's Leclerc out in front in the Red Bull. Wait, is Sainz... What is Sainz gap to Tsunoda? Whoopsie. Tsunoda made up a lot of that time to Sainz there. We're going to tell Sainz to drive a little harder. Unfortunately as well. Here we go. And there's the overtake. Great job there by Fernando Alonso. As Tsunoda now only 1 second behind. Carlos Sainz feeling the heat from Yuki Tsunoda most certainly. Desperately trying to keep Tsunoda behind. Alonso can do us a lot of favors by pressuring Tsunoda from behind. And that back marker helps us out a little bit as well. We only have 2 laps to go here. As I want Alonso to retake that overtake on Leclerc. Our tires are so much fresher than theirs, and we get the overtake. Sainz now 4 seconds clear on Tsunoda, and it's looking pretty good for us to bring this thing on home in 3rd and 5th in a much more successful race result than last week. It's a golden lap for Max Verstappen, and I think we should try to set a golden lap with both of our drivers here. Tell them to drive as hard as they can, maybe playing with fire in a DNF-fueled race, but I don't mind. I want that golden lap. Verstappen sounded like he just set another one. Sainz can't set it. And Alonso comes home. Can't set the golden lap either, but it's 3rd and 5th. And we have got to be happy with that. That was a great Argentine Grand Prix, and we made up very much for an unsuccessful last weekend and that crash for Fernando Alonso, who managed to keep it on the track this time. And it looks like Carlos Sainz really may be our clear #1 driver, and we may have to start treating the #2 car like the #1 if we want to maximize our points. But it's a lot of DNFs. A DNF from 5 different teams. Kubica in the Williams, Heidberg in the Haas, Nissany in the Sauber, Verstappen in the Ferrari, and Anarang in the Alpine. And the RBs fall just outside the points. Magnussen in Williams in the 10th. Magnussen in the Williams in 10th. Latifi in the Haas in 9th. The McLarens in 7th and 8th, as they usually are. And us and the Ferraris share positions. 3rd for Sainz, 4th for Tsunoda, 5th for Alonso, 6th for Leclerc, and of course the top 2, as always, taken up by Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. And it's Verstappen, Piastri, and Sainz on the podium. Aston Martin now 2nd. Oh, sorry, we got the 2nd most points. I don't know that we're 2nd in the constructors. 3rd and 6th for Sainz and Alonso in the Drivers' Championship, and we are in fact 3rd in the constructors, racing against Red Bull very clearly this season. And we get sponsorship offers. And we'll do that one because I would rather Golden Tune than no highest engine push mode. I hate that one. I want to use the highest engine push mode. As we're going to keep upgrading Carlos Sainz's car. And we will see you in the next episode of Golden Lap.